The air in the courtroom was thick with tension as Nia stood before Judge Callisto, known for following the law to the letter. Nia, a single mother, was in court for $200 in parking tickets she could barely afford. She tried to explain why she shouldn't have to pay the hefty fine, but the murmuring of the audience distracted the judge, who banged his gavel and called for order. The court became quiet, but suddenly a high-pitched voice shattered the silence. "Hamburgers, please." The small voice came from right beside Nia. It was Maya, Nia's 6-year-old daughter. The courtroom gasped, including Nia. Normally, they would have laughed at Maya's childlike comment, but Judge Callisto's court was known for its seriousness. Such a childish outburst was unheard of and unacceptable. Nia's face flushed red with embarrassment. Had her daughter just ruined any chance they had of getting out of this mess? Nia shot Maya a frantic look, but the little girl just stood beside her mother with wide, innocent eyes. Unlike everyone else, Judge Callisto didn't seem too bothered. He raised an eyebrow in surprise but showed no anger. Nia quickly knelt before Maya and whispered in her ear that they couldn't interrupt the judge. They had hoped Maya's presence might soften the judge, but now Nia feared this childish outburst would only anger him further. She felt embarrassed, realizing Maya's outburst probably made them look irresponsible. Judge Callisto looked down at the small interrupter who stood fidgeting next to her mom. "Did you say hamburgers, young lady?" he asked Maya in a surprisingly gentle voice. His question was different from the usual stern pronouncements that he gave in a courtroom. Everyone looked at Maya, curious about her response and what the judge might do next. Nia held her breath, hoping this wouldn't backfire on them. Maya did not answer the judge's question, instead focusing her big brown eyes on a painting of a serious-looking man in a wig hanging on the wall behind the judge. Nia's heart was racing. This wasn't going well. However, Judge Callisto didn't explode as Nia had feared. He simply shifted his gaze away from Maya to Nia. The silence stretched on for a moment, making Nia feel like a bug pinned under a magnifying glass. Finally, Judge Callisto spoke again and asked Maya, "Is there something you'd like to tell me, young lady?" Before Nia could answer, Maya took a step forward towards the judge's bench. "Yes, sir," she said politely. She told the judge that her tummy was rumbling really loud because she and her mom hadn't had breakfast yet, and all the talking was only making her even hungrier. Nia felt even more embarrassed. Here she was, trying to explain a serious issue to a strict judge, and her daughter was demanding food. She knew they should have grabbed something to eat before coming to court. But the morning rush had been overwhelming with getting Maya dressed, making sure she had everything she needed, and battling rush hour traffic. Now, her daughter's honesty, while cute and endearing, could make them appear even worse in the judge's eyes. Nia opened her mouth to apologize, but the judge cut her off with a small wave. He told Maya that the court could be a long and boring place, especially on an empty stomach. Then he added, "Why don't you come up here and tell me more about these hamburgers?" The judge's question surprised everyone. Even Judge Callisto seemed a little unsure after asking about hamburgers. Maya glanced at her mom to seek permission, and Nia, unsure of what to expect, could only nod. Maya happily skipped towards the judge's imposing desk, smiling as she climbed onto the small platform in front of the judge's bench. Judge Callisto leaned back in his chair, watching her approach in surprise. This wasn't how things usually went in his courtroom. The entire courtroom seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what Judge Callisto would do next. Was he still angry at the interruption? Would he scold Maya for disrespecting the court? No one, not even Nia, could have predicted the judge's surprising reaction. As a single mother to her energetic 6-year-old daughter Maya, Nia's life was a constant tussle between work, childcare, and making ends meet. Every day was an adventure in juggling these necessities. And that particular morning had been no different, except that Maya had woken up sniffing and coughing, a big sign of a cold coming on. Nia knew she had to get Maya medicine before work, but she also needed to be on time for her shift at the bakery. Nia began to prepare as fast as she could. She bundled Maya in warm clothes, made sure she had her favorite stuffed animal for comfort, and packed a small bag with tissues and mints. As she rushed Maya out the door, she prayed traffic wouldn't be too bad, but unfortunately, her prayers went unanswered. Every traffic light seemed to be red, and the usually quick drive to the pharmacy stretched into an agonizingly long journey, by the time Nia finally reached the store. She was already running late. The regular parking spots were full, but she spotted a free space right next to the entrance, a wheelchair-designated spot. Nia knew she shouldn't park there, but there was no time. She took a quick glance at the empty store and did some calculations. With Maya coughing in the back seat, Nia made a bad decision, reasoning that she'd be in and out in a flash. Those few minutes turned into 10, then 15. The line at the pharmacy was super slow, with each person ahead of Nia taking an eternity to sort out their prescriptions. Nia finally got the medicine and practically sprinted back to the car, feeling a bit guilty for taking a chance with the parking spot. As she got to her car, her fears were confirmed. A bright orange envelope was tucked under her windshield wiper. It was a $200 parking ticket for parking illegally. The number hit Nia like a punch to the gut. $200 was a huge blow to her already tight budget. Nia spent the following days calculating and rationing. She cut back on everything she could, including her morning coffee and gas for the car, but the $200 hole in her budget was still a lot. Finally, Nia had to face the reality of the situation. There was no way she could afford such a fee. She had to make a tough decision, pay the hefty fine and be short on the monthly rent, or go to court and plead her case. The thought of going to court filled Nia with dread. Intimidating judges and complicated procedures were enough to make her want to back out, but the $200 fine was simply too much to swallow. Nia decided to take her chances in court, hoping for some leniency from the judge. Maybe, just maybe, the judge would understand her situation if she explained everything. Nia spent the days before the court hearing researching the parking laws and rehearsing her explanation. As the day approached, she felt anxious. Would the judge even listen to her explanation? Would she be able to convince him to forgive the ticket? When she entered the imposing courthouse with its high ceilings and stern-faced security guards, her confidence almost melted. The courtroom felt heavy and serious, and the stories Nia heard about the strictness of the presiding judge only increased her anxiety. By the time she stood before Judge Callisto, she was already shaking nervously. Nia's voice trembled slightly as she explained the situation. She detailed her tight schedule as a single mom, rushing to get Maya's medicine before work and the terrible parking situation that led to the ticket. Nia had practiced her explanation beforehand, hoping to show the judge the desperate circumstances behind her mistake. She spoke clearly and respectfully, hoping to sway the judge with her sincerity. Judge Callisto seemed unfazed. He was a man of few words and a stern expression. He listened to Nia's explanation with an impassive face, making it hard to tell what he was thinking. What bothered Nia was not just Judge Callisto's strictness, he was also known for being a by-the-book judge. He strictly adhered to the law without much consideration for cause or circumstances. He always gave the harshest fines and maximum sentences as long as he was sure the crime or offense in question was committed. The why or context of the offense was not his business. Nia's heart sank with each passing second as she watched the judge flip through the paperwork related to the case. Despite her well-rehearsed appeal, the judge seemed unmoved. He asked her a few pointed questions, focusing solely on the parking violation and not the reasons behind it. His tone was firm, leaving Nia with the impression that he would not only uphold the fine but might even increase it as a penalty for wasting the court's time. Just as Nia felt totally defeated, the judge was interrupted by an unexpected outburst. That was when Maya, who had been quiet throughout the whole ordeal, piped up with a request for hamburgers. Nia had not drilled Maya on any court etiquette before coming, but blurting out such a remark was the last thing she expected. Nia apologized and explained that they hadn't had breakfast due to the morning rush. She felt this was another wrong move. And she worried it would make the judge think she was not just an irresponsible driver but also an irresponsible mother. At this point, Maya was sitting side by side with Judge Callisto before the curious court. Everyone, including Nia, felt sympathy for the little girl who clearly just wanted some food and to get out of this serious setting. The judge leaned forward with a surprisingly gentle voice as he addressed Maya directly. He told the little girl that he knew it had been a long morning for her, but he only needed to ask her a few questions. His first question was what kind of work Nia did. Maya, emboldened by the judge's kind tone, readily answered that her mom worked really hard at the bakery, making yummy cakes and cookies. Sometimes, she even took shifts as a waiter at a nearby restaurant. Working late nights. The judge nodded with newfound interest. As he continued his gentle questioning, he learned more about Nia's life as a single mother juggling multiple jobs. Even at 6 years old, Maya understood the challenges her mom faced. She explained how Nia often had to work long hours to make ends meet, leaving little time for them to spend together. The courtroom fell silent as they listened to Nia's life through her daughter. People who had initially only seen her as nothing more than a parking violator now saw who she really was, a single mother struggling to provide for her family. It was even sadder that Maya revealed the heartbreaking turn of events that put Nia in such a situation. Nia's heart ached as Maya spoke. She hadn't planned to share this personal information, but Maya's honesty had a way of bringing things out. A wave of sadness washed over her as she remembered the heartbreak of her past. The truth was, being a single parent wasn't just about juggling work and childcare, it was also a constant battle against the past betrayal that had put her in this situation in the first place. 4 years ago, when Maya was just 3, Nia had been in a relationship with her boyfriend, Darius. Darius was fresh out of jail for a minor possession offense, and he had showered Nia with promises that he was clean. He swore that he had a renewed commitment to their little family. Nia was blinded by love and hope, and she trusted him. Back then, Nia was saving diligently for her own college education. It was meant to be a fresh start for all of them. Nia dreamed of a future with Darius where she would have a better career, and they would raise their daughter Maya together. Darius saw her determination and even offered to contribute, which made Nia believe in his newfound commitment. However, the trust she had so naively placed in him shattered one morning. She woke up to find both Darius and all of her savings gone. The worst part was that Nia discovered that he had not only stolen her money but also left town with her younger sister. Darius had been secretly seeing Nia's sister behind her back. His empty promises had manipulated Nia's sister, who betrayed her own sister to leave with him. The revelation left Nia devastated. Darius had not only stolen her future but also left her and his daughter heartbroken and alone. Nia reported the theft, but the money was never recovered. The pain of betrayal and the loss of both her partner and sister cut deep into Nia's heart, leaving her to pick up the pieces as a single parent. The financial burden from the stolen savings meant Nia had to give up on her college dreams and focus on many low-paying jobs to make ends meet. This heartbreaking episode was the reason why Nia was struggling so much, and why a $200 parking ticket was a small fortune to her. Everyone in court, including the judge, listened intently to Maya's story. The judge seemed genuinely touched by the little girl's answers. He asked a few more questions, gently gathering more information about Nia's situation and the challenges they faced. With each answer, Judge Callisto's perspective seemed to change. The rigid and unyielding Judge Nia had heard so much about was replaced by a man with a hint of understanding and empathy in his eyes. Finally, he did something that left everyone stunned. Judge Callisto broke protocol entirely and looked directly at Maya. "Well, Maya, since your mommy broke the parking rule, what do you think her punishment should be?" The courtroom audience held their breath. This was unheard of in the judge's court. Nia's eyes widened in disbelief. Would the judge truly consider a 6-year-old's opinion? But Maya was not shaken by the unexpected question. Instead, she gave the judge a trusting look. She confidently told him that he was a smart judge, so he should decide. This time, everyone burst into laughter. It was the first genuine laughter anyone could remember in that courtroom. Even Judge Callisto couldn't help but chuckle. It seemed Maya's honesty and innocence had disarmed him, creating a lighter atmosphere in the usually tense courtroom. Judge Callisto leaned back in his chair as if he were thinking, then suddenly raised his hand and announced a short recess. As everyone stood up, the judge called for the bailiff. The bailiff approached the bench, and the judge leaned in and whispered some instructions. A moment later, the bailiff nodded and disappeared through a side door. The courtroom buzzed with confused murmurs. What was the judge planning? When the bailiff returned, he was carrying a brown paper bag. The judge took it from him and, with a smile, presented it to Maya. "Here you go, young lady," he said kindly. He told her that the court could wait, but they needed to address that rumbling tummy first. Inside the bag were neatly wrapped sandwiches and juice boxes. Maya's eyes widened in delight, and a smile spread across her face. Nia was overcome with emotion. She never expected such kindness in a courtroom of all places. Even a small gesture like this held immense meaning in their current situation. Following the unexpected snack break, the judge called the case back to session. However, everything felt different. Instead of his usual brisk pronouncements, Judge Callisto took his time to review Nia's file. He discovered that she had a clean driving record and a spotless legal history. In fact, this was Nia's first and only parking violation in 9 years. The judge then looked up at Nia and began his verdict, and what he did next left everyone in shock. After reviewing the details and considering her previous record, he decided to dismiss the ticket. The courtroom erupted in applause. Today was truly a day of firsts. Nia's heart was filled with relief, as if a weight had lifted from her shoulders. This was far more than what she dared to hope for, but the judge wasn't finished. As he continued, he pulled out a sheet of paper. He told Nia that he understood that being a single parent could be challenging. On the paper was a compiled list of local resources for single mothers, which included job training programs and childcare assistance services. Most notably, 2 of them offered an online degree free of charge. Nia's eyes welled up in gratitude. This was no longer about the dismissed ticket. The judge was offering her a helping hand when she needed it most. Nia began to stammer, struggling to find words to thank the judge, but Judge Callisto offered another surprising smile. There were no thanks necessary. As far as he was concerned, this was justice seasoned with a touch of kindness. News of Judge Callisto's act of compassion spread through the community. Social media and local news outlets picked up the story, showing the judge's surprising leniency and his heartwarming interaction with Maya. People were shocked not just by the dismissed ticket but by the judge's genuine concern for Nia's situation. Empowered by the judge's kindness and the resources he provided, Nia began a new path. She enrolled in the online degree program and used the childcare assistance to ensure Maya was well cared for. This allowed her to breathe a little easier and gave her hope for a more secure future. For Judge Callisto, the encounter with Nia and Maya changed his perspective by awakening a long-dormant empathy within him. He finally understood that while the law was indeed sacred, it was meant to protect, not punish. He now saw the law not just as a rigid set of rules but as a tool for protecting the most vulnerable. This heartwarming story shows us that kindness and understanding can be practiced anywhere, even within the walls of a serious courtroom. What is your experience with courts and judges? Share your thoughts in the comments. And see you in the next video.